For a closer look at China's anti-corruption campaign and its impact, we're now joined by Ann Lee from New York City. She's an adjunct professor of economics and finance at New York University. Thanks, Ann, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Explain to us, first of all, how this anti-graft campaign has led to the dramatic decline of government spending on fancy events and gifts. And as you talk, we're going to put up a graphic that shows just the lavishness of the spending, which includes half of the business costs in one province by SOE chiefs were spent on cars.
Yes. Xi Jinping came into office with a mandate to basically cut corruption because that was a big complaint of a lot of Chinese people. And it was very obvious, and it was very demoralizing to the people who didn't have privilege. And so I think that this is a good way for China to establish a stronger foundation where there is going to be adherence to regulations and rules instead of using briberies and things to skirt around official laws and cheating.
But this practice sort of supported an industry or several industries in and of itself. I mean, the mooncakes, for example, catering, training, other types of gifts. Are they likely to be impacted by these regulations, the people that sell them?
Well, I'm sure that they will get impacted, but I think that the Chinese people are very innovative and are very flexible and adaptable. They will certainly try to find new customers to replace the ones that were used to cater to government officials. Certainly, it would probably require them to be more savvy about marketing to, say, foreign customers that live in China or come abroad. And so this is a good way for them to hone their skills and actually focus on gaining market share elsewhere.
Now, this law is aimed obviously at public workers and SOE workers, but I read today that even people in the private sector were feeling sort of pressured to give these extravagant gifts as just a way of doing business. Will we see an impact in the private sector as well, do you think?
It's possible. We start with the government, and that's an obvious place where you don't want to have everyone doubt the government legitimacy. And if that becomes widespread enough and adopted as the way to do things, I'm sure it will spread to the private sector. And this will be good for the Chinese government because there had been a reputation amongst foreigners that the Chinese were very corrupt to deal with, and people would prefer to deal with more straightforward places like Germany or Switzerland. And so if China can change its culture of this bribery and guanxi, then it would actually help them actually win more business overall in the long run.
And you mentioned, of course, the goal of this law is to create a fair, more transparent marketplace, increase China's competitiveness. Is this the best way to do it?
Yes, I actually think so. I mean, there are probably other ways to do it, and maybe this seems a little heavy-handed, but frankly, I think that this is a good way to signal to people that the government means business. And I think this is, frankly, a good way for China to move forward, because if they don't, then people are going to doubt China's ability to get things done. And since this was a mandate, then it telegraphs to the people that the government still will stand by its word, and that's extremely important to develop that kind of trust, because over the years, people had begun to doubt China's intentions. They wonder if this is just another political purge, another political exercise, and so if this is actually going to get real results, then people will start believing in the government again.
Ann Lee, thanks for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for having me again.